Do I or don't I? You know what's funny? After living in Spain for almost 5 years, I can honestly say that I do not want to move back to the United States. But at the exact same time, there are absolutely things that I miss about America, and specifically my town back in the United States. And it's not necessarily in the way that people think. It's not just Target, okay? Because y'all know I love Target. But I obviously miss my family, my friends, and some of my favorite foods like the Philadelphia pretzel or cheesesteak would be awesome every once in a while. But what I really miss is more the ease of life sometimes, the familiarity, the feeling of just knowing how things work. Because living abroad long-term is amazing. It has changed our family in so many positive ways, but nobody really talks about that building a life abroad can be mentally exhausting sometimes. And I know some of you are out there thinking, well, just move back. But I'm not telling you this to hear move back. I'm telling this to people who are thinking about a life abroad, who are already living abroad, to say, hey, it's not always easy. It's not always cupcakes and rainbows. And listen, I think after almost 5 years of living in Spain, I finally understand why both of these things, loving your life abroad and missing my old hometown, can be true at the same time. So in this video, I want to talk honestly about what I still love about living abroad, but also the things I genuinely miss about my life back in the United States. Hi, I'm Danielle from Expat Livin, and I moved to Spain about 5 years ago with my family of 6. I started this channel to help others who are dreaming of a life abroad and want to share my experience with them. So let's start with a part that people don't always talk about. And I think when people imagine they're like moving abroad, they picture the exciting parts, the cafes, the travel, the slower lifestyle, the beautiful streets, the idea of starting over somewhere exciting. And those things are real. But what people don't always realize is eventually the vacation mode ends. At some point, you no longer are visiting Europe. You're living life, real life. And real life includes taxes, school decisions, medical appointments, paperwork, repairs, banks, residency renewals, and trying to figure out why some offices might be closed for the 3rd time in a week. And when you're doing all that in another language and another system, it can feel exhausting. It's not impossible, just mentally heavy sometimes. So honestly, one of the biggest things I miss about America is ease. It's not perfection, it's just ease. In the US, I just knew how life worked. I knew how to make appointments. I knew how schools worked. I knew what paperwork mattered. I knew what to expect. I knew how to solve problems quickly. And honestly, when you grow up someplace with a family or a community behind you that has been there and done that, then life is a little bit easier. In fact, I take it for granted sometimes. And even with the bureaucracy that exists in the United States, and trust me, it really does exist, as an American, you don't have the added layer of, wait, what exactly are they asking me for? Or did I miss something because I don't understand the language? Or why did 3 different people give me 3 different answers? When you live abroad long enough, you realize how that low-level stress can really add up. Every single day, you're adapting to something new. Every day, you're learning something new. Even after 5 years here, I still run into situations where I think, how am I still learning how things work? And sometimes it's exciting, but sometimes you're just tired, and it can be frankly exhausting. Layer in kids into the equation, okay? Because that changes everything. I'm not just trying to figure this out for myself, but for my kids, and each one is different and has different needs. Right now, my oldest son is graduating high school, and he's heading off to university in the UK. So let me tell you, that process in and of itself was completely new to me and my husband. You know, even though I'm educated and even though I've navigated huge life transitions before, I have had to apply to university and get loans and the whole bit. But now I'm doing it again, but learning an entirely new system. British universities are different. The process is different. The expectations are different. And at the same time, I have another son who's switching schools because we're navigating curriculum differences. Okay, American curriculum versus British curriculum versus the Spanish curriculum. They all have positives and they all have negatives. And honestly, as a parent living abroad, sometimes it feels like you're constantly trying to solve a puzzle that you were never taught how to play. You're making big decisions without the comfort of familiarity. Well, that's hard to say. And that's hard sometimes. And before you say, well, just move back, Danielle, I'm not saying that I want to move back. I'm not complaining. This is the life that I built for my family. But I am sharing the emotional roller coaster that is a life abroad. Now, all that being said, I still love our life here. Sorry, Mom, I'm not planning to move back anytime soon. But here's what I love about our life abroad. I love the slower pace of life. I love having more family time. I love that my kids have experienced different cultures and languages and perspectives. I love that Europe has forced us to grow. I love that our kids understand that there isn't just one way to live, right? And I love that my children see that I experience challenges every day. Surprise, Mom is not perfect, and we all have to adapt. And honestly, I think living abroad has made our family closer in a lot of ways because we have had to figure out things together. So this isn't a we regret moving abroad video, not at all. It's more building a life abroad is more emotionally complex than social media sometimes makes it look. And I think that's important to say out loud, right? Because I know there are probably people watching this who feel guilty for struggling sometimes, or guilty for missing home, or guilty for loving their new life, but still grieving parts of their old one. You can feel both, and that is totally normal. All right. And honestly, if you're watching this video because you're dreaming about moving abroad someday, I'm not saying don't do it. I would absolutely do this again. But I do think it's important to understand that moving abroad doesn't magically remove all the stress from your life. You're still you. You still have your responsibilities. You still have the parenting. You still have the work. You still have the life. You're just doing it in a different country, right? So it's adding on more layers. And that's why I always try to keep this channel honest, because yes, moving abroad can be absolutely life-changing in the best possible way, but it is still real life. That's one of the reasons I created Expat Livin and my Move Abroad mentorship program. Because when we first moved abroad, there were so many things that we had to figure out ourselves, the logistics, the planning, the paperwork, and the emotional side of it. What country is the right country for us, all those things. So if moving abroad is something that you're seriously considering, I'll put the link below and you can check out our course. But if you're not ready to do that yet, that's okay too. I just want this channel to be a real look at what building a life abroad actually looks like, and not just the highlight reel. Because I'm not just someone traveling around Europe for content. I am a mom of 4. I am a wife. I work remotely as an attorney every day. I'm balancing family, work, life, school, decisions, bureaucracy, and everything, okay? So while building a life in another country. And I know a lot of you are trying to figure this out, whether this is the kind of life that could work for you and your family too. So no, I don't want to move back to America, but yes, there are things I truly miss. I think that's probably the most honest version of long-term expat life. You build a new version of home without completely erasing the old one. If you've lived abroad before, I'd love to know where and what's still something that you miss from your hometown. And if you're dreaming about moving abroad, what's the thing that you think that you're going to struggle with the most? Please put it in the comment below. And before I go, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's free for you and it helps me to create new content just for you. And if you're interested in making this life abroad your reality, my Move Abroad mentorship course, you can click up there, lays the foundation to guide you through your own move. It's basically the guide that I wish that I had before I made the move myself. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy travels, my friends.